G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists do what they do. Well, hi viewers. Well, we're in New Zealand for this part of our show, and we're in Christchurch, beautiful town of Christchurch, and with a very talented lady, Svetlana Orinko. How are you, darling?
I'm good, thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, this young woman has a very, very interesting history. She came from the Ukraine, migrated from the Ukraine, but I would say that to say at the least that you've had a really extensive art education in classical art. Svetlana started when she was 12 years of age going to art college. She's very multidisciplinary in what she does with watercolours and oils. I mean, you'll see some absolutely magnificent work as we go through. But to start at the age of 12 and then go through to 22 years of age, tell me a little bit about your college and university experience, because it's, you know, generally in our society people don't go to art college at 12, but you've been to America and studied with David Lafell as well, who's regarded as sort of like the Rembrandt of America, and then gone on to do a number of workshops with other talented people. I mean, Svetlana does workshops herself. I mean, I would highly recommend anybody in New Zealand or the Christchurch area to come and talk to her, but very, very disciplined in what you do, very organised from what I can see as well. So today we're going to do some apple blossoms. I can see them on your laptop just there, they look fantastic. And you're going to do them on watercolour?
Yep.
Watercolour paper. Now, this is pretty thick from what I can see here. How?
Yeah, it's a 640 grams.
640 gram.
Arches,
yeah. Has it in the corner? Yep.
And hot press.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'll step out of shot as I normally do, of course, and I'm going to let Svetlana do what she does. As I said, you're going to have a great day today. She's a really talented woman, and we're going to see one of her pictures come to life. So let's get stuck into it.
Yeah. I like to start with our wet whole area, only leave my whites dry. Because with watercolor, your whites is your paper. So, and I could use ingot to see where it's glossy and shines. And
yeah, so I can see that you really soak the paper.
Yeah. This is a particular technique called layering. The problem with a lot of people who are studying watercolor, they don't put enough pigment and they're too afraid to put a lot of color to start, because they think watercolor is unforgivable.
Yeah.
It's not true. I do a lot of lifting out, and I lift out paint as much as I put in.
And that's just wetting the surface and then pulling the colour off.
Yeah.
But you're saying that as when you were a young woman, you were required to produce 20 watercolours and 60 drawings, and
yeah,
so that you
wouldn't, homework.
Yeah, you wouldn't double up on them. They actually used to burn them at the end of the term.
That's right.
So that they would teach you discipline, and you had to. It was like homework.
We have to producing a lot to keep you. It's like training.
That was per week.
Per week.
That was per week.
Yeah, we were going with sketch pads everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, waiting for the bus on the bus stop, and you're sketching. You go to the market, you're sketching. And
but per week, that's
it's insane.
80 pieces a week for.
Yeah, and it's all destroyed.
For 10 years, that's insane.
Yeah.
My goodness.
But it all pays off.
It's practice.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's practice.
It teaches you how to see the form.
Yeah.
And you know how to turn the form, whether you're painting or drawing, and it's so important.
Well, I can see little white spots that you've left virtually everywhere over this picture.
I need to because paper absorbs a lot of water.
Yeah, but it's surprising with the arches that it's only absorbed in the areas where you actually put the water down, and the rest of it
if you have a
just
good
stays there.
sizing.
Yeah. And it sort of soaks through, but leaves that sort of definite line there.
Yeah. Good quality paper will do that. If it doesn't leave that line, then it's not good quality paper, or something wrong with the sizing.
Yeah.
I come across a few times that it's not supposed to happen. Good quality paper, if you put drop of water, it should stay like that until it dries. It's not supposed to go into it.
Yeah.
So I will probably use 2 or 3 primary colors at this stage. I really in yellow. I'm just using pure pigments. I use transparent pigments at this stage. They can just mix for me on the paper. I'm probably concentrating more on the background now, because my background could be in many places just one layer.
So you spent some time with Nancy Tichborne when you first came out.
That's right, yeah. I discovered this amazing artist, and she was great inspiration for me. And she taught me this layering technique, because until then I was painting differently. Yeah. And watercolor I was limited with time. I pretty much was wet on wet. By the time the painting was dry, it has to be finished. And if you fiddle too much, your colors become too muddy. Nancy taught me how to separate the layers, and you can achieve amazing results with this technique. Very realistic results. If you really want a lot of detail, that's the way to go.
So how many colours do you work with on your palette?
I use a lot of colors. I'm not really a limited palette person.
Yeah. I can see you sort of really separating those colours so that when they mix themselves instead of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. My aim is to put enough color which will set the mood of the painting and save me a lot of work later.
Now, in what you've just done there is another piece that you've pre-prepared because of your diligence in putting your records together, and it's called La Vie en Rose, which is a beautiful piece, and you can actually see all of the different layers that you've put them together as they've gone through the varying sequences to get to the end result, which is the beautiful piece. But this is pretty well much what we're doing today as well, isn't it?
Exactly the same, yeah. It's a process where you start with underpainting, get rid of all the white paper, and then you're ready to do another layer.
Fantastic. So in saying that, this is pretty wet as well because of the colour that's gone on there.
Yeah, well now we need to do the important part.
The important part, so I can see that...
let water do the job.
So the water, you're just going to let that sit by itself?
No, I'm going to use gravity to mix colour.
Okay.
And that's why I left my white dry, because it doesn't matter which way I tilt, the paint just goes around it.
It goes around it, yeah.
And it stays here.
That's pretty cool.
So what I do is pick up the painting.
So you're just going to let it sort of move in its own direction?
Yeah, I'm just going to do... I'll just
trim
take
those
it
edges.
on the carpet, otherwise I'll dribble on the carpet. Like that, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, they're lovely colours, aren't they? And now they're just
and
sort
it's
of...
much nicer than do it with brush,
Yes.
you know? Yeah, so that's how I do it.
It looks a lot more natural as well.
Yeah. I still have white here, but that's okay. My whites are actually on the flowers, which I'm going to do lots of layers. It's a background. I won't have seamless flow through it, and it looks very nice and soft. And if I see any dry bits I don't want, I'll just put a bit of water. Yeah.
Sort of holding it at an angle like that, you can see those pop up as well.
Yeah. Well, at this stage, I could see I would like to do some corrections. It's not too dry, it's sort of matte, it's not too shiny or wet. So it's a good time for me to lift up the color. And the fresher paint, the easier it's to lift up. If you leave it for a week, it will be much harder to lift out. And my concern here is some warm color. I know where I want my cool colors, and if it's a yellow bleed into it, there's no way I could cover it because it's transparent. So I could take away a bit of warmth, and other way around, I could take away some colds if I want to put warm. And some areas I would like to make it a bit lighter because, it just happened, darken up a bit. just the way paint flows and bleeds, you can't control. But from now on, I'm taking control of it. And so what I do, I just have some paint brushes that they're actually oil brushes, a bit stiff, in a wet area like here.
Mm-hmm.
And I put my water. I just don't want that warmth there. And some pigments are easier to lift up than others. Of course, staining pigments very difficult to lift up, so I try to avoid them at beginning stage. So then I take tissues and you can see the difference.
You've taken it off,
It's subtle difference, but it's what I want. And I prefer that than paint around, you know. And here, it just saved me so much work, hours and hours of painting around.
Yes, I think the easier that the picture is produced, the better looking it looks as well. If it's not too labour intensive.
It's got this looseness. I don't like tight paintings, controlled. I like watercolour need to flow freely, and I try to paint loose. You know. Now I'm going to wet my paper again.
When you say you're putting water back on, you're putting it in some fairly selected areas?
I do, I'm constantly thinking where should I wet, because it will create very interesting patterns. You know, the boundaries between wet and dry. Because there's a lot of water, everything will be so transparent, then suddenly you have this crisp edge.
Now you've got another technique that you've developed, and unfortunately we won't get to see that today, but we're just screening up some pictures at the moment. Distant Shores, and also another one called Green Island. Now this is a technique that you called, and it's an Orinko special, saturated granulation.
That's right.
So we're going to have to do another show with you one day just to see saturated granulation. Or a better idea would be, is that you do workshops and also weekly teaching here in Christchurch, because it's a fascinating technique. I mean, just looking at those pictures there, you can see. I mean, I don't know how you've done it. I want to, of course.
No one knows.
But if other people wanted to come along, they can come to your workshops, and they can go to your website. It's SvetlanaOrinko.com. So I can just sort of see you sort of ducking down every so often to see the angles of the water.
I'm just going to create sort of abstract shapes almost. You know, and see what.
As though they were leaves or branches.
Yeah, and there's a light coming through the petals. It's a complexity of.
Just using water.
Yeah. Now I can put colours.
Now for the colours.
I'll go for cobalt blue, you know, exciting part. And cobalt blue is another very pure colour which lays beautifully on the top. Can you see how much water I'm putting?
Yes.
A lot of my students just couldn't believe.
But you're still loading the water in there.
How much water, wow. They would never even think.
But the water acts as a continual vehicle.
Yeah. And you know, like I could just direct it.
Actually, what you're doing now, you've got a picture which when I first saw it, I thought, wow, this is really dramatic, and it's sort of it's an idea of love and loss at the same time. And it was the picture of loving memory, the rose, and it looks like the petals are bleeding.
Yes, that's right.
So it's like you've lost somebody that you.
Yeah, well, the loving memory is a rose. Usually, a lot of people plant.
When you did those roses, you must have let it bleed through.
Oh yeah, because I'm a watercolorist, even though they're done in paint and oil. I love those dribs, you know, and of course because it's vertical, you can't avoid it, and you know, you can take them away, but I just thought they're beautiful. I like that. And
so this is always remembering as you go along to make sure that those white areas are not touched at all.
Yes.
Always moving
well,
around
that was the point. Firstly, you put all this work preserving them. I like to keep them pristine.
Well, with all the training you've had and all the people that you've done workshops with and worked with, I mean, you've got this huge body of knowledge behind you that's available for other people to tap into, which is pretty cool. But funnily enough, I mean, there seems to be detail developing, and you're not actually trying to do it anyway. It's sort of the paint's doing it itself. Particularly with this one picture that I saw of yours called Lovers in the Air. And it's an oil with cherry blossoms, and the composition's great, but you can see that everything around the outside is all literally faded out.
Yeah.
And then we come into the detail in the middle, and the composition's great in that piece, it really is.
Thank you. What I aim to achieve with my painting is balance of subtlety and drama. You know, if you have enough subtlety, not enough drama, then it's not strong. And next step, I'm going to do a background to complement my foreground. So with my lights come on my subject, I'm going to put really dark background, and it will make my foreground pop. Okay, so again, I'm wetting my paper.
Yes.
You know, I have some hard edges. I'll stop like a leaf coming out of, which make it nice for me and easy. So for my background, I use a couple mixtures, warmer green and then really dark green. You know, you just put a brush stroke and it's beautifully. The paper takes beautifully. It's like a velvet.
Yeah, I can see how you can develop these effects of yours by layering them. You know, continuously coming back over and leaving those lighter areas, but layering the backgrounds. It's great.
That's right. Yeah. And this is the area where a viewer will look, you know, because the biggest contrast there. So I'm like a magician almost. I can say, look there, don't look there, just with the contrast and edges.
It's a fantastic technique. It's a lot like some of the other pictures you've done, Iceland Poppies, which I think has got really great light in it. And then just another one, Poppies in the blue water, which is really quite nice as well. But there's another style that you've done which is exactly the opposite to this, which is the picture Romanee Conti, which is wine and boxes, which is really detailed. So it sort of shows the extent of how detailed you can go, and then moving on to this abstract type form of watercolour.
Yeah.
So over the years, who do you feel has influenced your work mostly?
Well, I admire a lot of artists. You know, in Russia we have a lot of beautiful artists. I admire Repin and Surikov and Serov. Also Nikolai Feshin had a big impact. Of course, they're all oil painters. Sargent would be my watercolour inspiration.
Singer Sargent.
Yeah. I also learned a lot, not personally, but from books and DVDs and reading. Richard Schmidt is one of my favourites.
Apart from your great watercolours, you're also a keen plein air artist as well, and we have a shot where you can actually see where you've actually taken the scenes that you've got and then turned it into a beautiful oil painting called Bluebells. And also there's a great progression that you have here of a lake called Lake Wanaka, which goes through all of the stages, and it looks like a sunset to me across the lake. It's a really, really gorgeous piece. But when you're in the States, down at Taos in New Mexico and Scottsdale in Arizona, doing some plein air work down there as well. So who were the instructors that you were with down there?
David Lafelle and Sherry McGraw.
Well, it's all this information that you bring to the fore in your own work as well, particularly with your workshops. I mean, learning what you have, you know, from all of these different places.
Yeah, I give that so much information and so much knowledge from these top artists and bring it to New Zealand, which is actually not available here. It was quite special.
That's fantastic.
And I would like to share what I learned.
It's always when I see your work, I can see you planning it in your head.
Yeah.
Where do I have to go now? What do I do now?
That's where painting happens. You think,
you have to plan it. But the pictures developed a really wonderful abstract quality to it as well.
Yeah, I'm pleased about it. Yeah, I'm excited. That feeling of excitement when you know it's going really well. There's nothing like that in the whole world. It's like a drug, I guess.
It's a healthy,
for some people.
It's a healthy drug, but
yeah,
it's the main thing. Yeah. You know what it is? It's a really good antidepressant.
Totally,
It stops people from getting depressed, which is the best part about it. If you're feeling down, everybody out there in art world, this is the best way to do it.
That's what art to me, it always picks me up and uplifts me. Now actually I'm going to change my angle back to, because I want my dark go down. I want to create a darker edge here against my light background.
Now, apart from being incredibly skilled with florals and nature and landscapes, you've also been a really amazing portrait artist as well. And there's one portrait that we're putting up right now. It might be pretty recognisable to the audience out there. It's a self-portrait of you, which you actually just recently won the Lysart Art Award with. And there's another one of actually a friend of yours from the Ukraine, I think. It's called Lay Shadow.
Yes.
which is a beautiful piece of work as well.
Another view, I'm just sort of using brush to sort of pick up the background color, and because I don't want them that obvious, you know, I just want only suggestion of them. So I'll just mixing layers, previous layers, and taking away that sharpness and adding some yellow here.
Mm-hmm.
And now I would like to show you another tool I'm using a lot at this stage, like finishing. It's to lift out how I could create a petal without painting it, just suggest. And I like this technique because you don't need to paint it. It works really well in the shadows areas where it's soft and subdued. I could just wet the edge of the petal, and I could just... Can you see how this looks?
Yes, yes.
And I don't need to paint.
And you just basically lift it off with a tissue.
Yeah. And the more layers you put, the easier it is to lift up. Like, for example, this leaf, I could just, instead of painting around it, what I could do, I could just lift it out.
There you
Can
go.
you see?
Pops up
Beautifully.
straight away.
And I could tidy up, you know, the messy, like.
All right, Svetlana, well, you've shown us some fantastic techniques today, and I think that anybody that really wants to learn some of these really wonderful techniques that you've picked up over the years and all of the years you've been studying, they should come to your workshops and at your weekly teaching as well. And they can go to svetlanaorinko.com and yeah, and have a look from there. But because of the beauty of television, you can now see the finished piece in front of you, which looks absolutely fantastic as well. So it's been a fantastic day, and really well done.
Yep, I enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Well, guys, great day. Beautiful, beautiful piece of work. I actually love the colours, the way that Svetlana puts those multifaceted rainbow colours behind her watercolours is really fantastic. Now, the workshops as well, if you're in the Christchurch area, or even if you come to New Zealand and you want to spend some time with a really multi-talented, multidisciplined woman, Svetlana, your website is?
SvetlanaOrinko.com.
Yeah, so come in and say hi to her. Some other really great stuff she has on her website as well. Of course, come in and see us as well at colourionyourlife.com.au, and come in and friend us on Facebook or like us on Facebook, and YouTube as well. Come and see us on YouTube. YouTube channel is going fantastically well these days, and we're obviously spreading the word of art to many people across the world as best as we can. But love New Zealand. Hope we can get back here as much as we possibly can to some fantastically talented people. But we're going to head off again. Remember, guys, make sure you put some colour in your life, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.